You've been very hard on Kobe Bryant in your books. And I remember reading the last season of Lakers 1, where you wrote about calling him a narcissist and all that. And somehow you guys put that past you, and you came back to the Lakers for another run. And I get the parallels between Kobe and Michael, the competitiveness. And again, this is basketball, this is sports. We don't expect people to be sweethearts. Here's what sticks in my craw a little bit about Kobe, because I think at the end of the day, Michael Jordan was about winning. And he didn't care so much what it took to get there as long as the destination was a win. Kobe Bryant had on his team one of the great players and one of the great centers of all time in Shaquille O'Neal. And he basically ran, he ran Shaq out of LA, not for any basketball reason that I can see, but because it was a personality clash and you had two alpha males, and Kobe wanted to be the alpha male, and he could never be the alpha male as long as Shaq was around, and maybe as long as you were around. So at the end of the day, there's part of my thinking about Kobe says, you had Shaquille O'Neal there, and you couldn't, Magic Johnson would never have done that to somebody like Kareem. So am I being overly harsh on Kobe, who is one of the great players of all time and one of the great winners of all time?
I think you hit a sentiment that is maybe popular, or a thought process that hovers below, the mind somewhere in there. That what is it about Kobe that is kind of made him difficult to play with? Those things. And I think that, Kobe, one of the stories I think I included in the book is that I got a call from Jerry West, and he said, you'll be interested in knowing this story. And Jerry and I had a really good working relationship, unbeknownst to people, but he would call me when things happened around the team. And Kobe called me up and said, how did you and Elgin both average 30 points a game when you were playing for the Lakers? I don't think I can average 20 with Shaq averaging 28. So I knew that was a concern to Kobe. And Jerry expressed it, that he felt like, I'm not going to go down as one of the great players in the game if I don't, and I used the Magic Johnson example for him, is that Magic incorporated Kareem. He didn't care about the scoring. He averaged points, but he generated the team. He said, Kobe's not Magic. He's not that kind of a person. He has an individual goal that's there, and the individual goal is included in winning championships. He felt Shaq did not do the operation appropriately for his toe on a time frame that would have gave us 4 championships, something that would have been remarkable. He waited until October, or I guess it was actually September 11th, the year after 9/11, and had the operation, which kept him out till the middle of December. Rehab, everything didn't make Shaq the player he was before. That limited our ability to get a 4th consecutive championship, and that really grind Kobe down. And the next year, he was done. He was pretty much done with Shaq, and everything kind of blew up a little bit on that process. We went back to the finals, but the actual team chemistry was lost during that period of time, and that's when I wrote the last season. I love Kobe Bryant. I consider him like my son. I consider him someone that I've had an intense relationship with, that's mellowed and really developed over the course of the years. And I love the way he can play. I just see him sometimes going like, nothing else is going to happen here. I'm going to have to take over the game. And when he does that occasionally, he takes off too soon and can't finish it because he burns himself out.
Well, I love the quote in the book from Kobe about now that he has teenage daughters, he can appreciate how difficult it was to coach him. Because you've coached Dennis Rodman, you've coached Ron Artest, I mean, you've coached some volatile individuals, but Kobe may be the only one, at least of his talent caliber, where you've gone to management and said, you got to trade this guy, I can't coach him.
Yeah, that's something that I really, I measured in my statement about this, is that, how much is Kobe willing to be coached, and, if you want me around, maybe I should just step back. And I did. I stepped back, and that was the year that I think was a good lesson for me and a good lesson for maybe Kobe, because then we could get back together again and get back to winning a championship or two.
Something else in the book while we're talking about Kobe, a pretty remarkable revelation, which was maybe kind of subtle in there, and that was how you processed what happened to Kobe in Colorado when he had the charge of sexual assault. And you reveal in the book that your daughter Brooke was sexually assaulted by an athlete a few years before that. I mean, you said that really affected how you processed what Kobe went through in Colorado. Now he came to the team that was kind of hovering over the, I mean, we know how it ended, but at the time you didn't know that. So, but first, tell me about the conversation with Brooke. I mean, that obviously you wouldn't have put it in there if she wasn't okay with it.
My daughter has her PhD in psychology and is a clinical psychologist. And one of the things that was an impetus to her getting into becoming a clinical psychologist was the fact that she was date raped in college. And that made her have to go deal with this issue face to face with therapy. She chose not to have this guy charged. But over my career, I can remember many times sitting on a bus and, you know, some reference to some guy physically taking advantage sexually of a woman. And it became an issue that grated on me as a player, and then as an adult to have a child, you know, have this happen to them because of the physical strengths and, you know, capabilities, and then, you know, people not being taken to task for what they do really affected me. And I still had some residual anger because of my daughter's situation. I was, you know, coaching at the time. It was late in my career with the Bulls. And, you know, I know it changed her life entirely, affected her life dramatically.
And now you got to deal with Kobe, and that's got to be on your mind as you're processing all of that.
Yeah, I sit here before you guys, embarrassed and ashamed for committing adultery.
This whole situation comes back to the fact that I was in the same town he was in at the moment, or at that night that this thing happened. I was in Edwards, Colorado. He was in Edwards, Colorado. We didn't even know we were there. We didn't even know he was getting the operation till after it was over. And, you know, this time we should have been having dinner together rather than this thing happening in his life. And, you know, it was just a missed opportunity all the way around and a fateful event.